I pulled my collar tight against the biting cold as I stood alone on the side of the desolate road. The sun had set long ago, leaving only the pale glow of the moon to illuminate my surroundings. My car had broken down miles back, leaving me stranded in this eerie, isolated place. A sense of unease gnawed at my gut, but there was no other option. I had to find help. Just as desperation was about to overwhelm me, a pair of headlights cut through the darkness. Relief washed over me as a rusty pickup truck approached. I stuck out my thumb, hoping the driver would be kind enough to pick up a stranded hitchhiker like me. The truck slowed to a halt, and the window rolled down. A middle-aged man with a rugged appearance and a scruffy beard peered out at me. "Need a ride, son?" he asked in a gravelly voice. Relieved, I nodded and climbed into the passenger seat. The truck's interior was filled with the scent of old leather and gasoline. The man introduced himself as Hank and explained he was heading towards the next town. As we drove, I noticed Hank's eyes darting nervously to the rearview mirror, as if he expected something sinister to be following us. I tried to shake off the feeling of discomfort, attributing it to the unsettling darkness outside. "So what brings you out here?" Hank asked, trying to break the tension. "My car broke down a few miles back," I replied, glancing out into the dark void of the night. "I was on my way to visit some friends." Hank grunted in acknowledgement, his hands tightly gripping the steering wheel. The silence that followed was almost suffocating, and I felt the urge to speak, anything to distract from the ominous atmosphere. "Have you lived around here for long?" I asked. Hank hesitated before answering. "Yeah, I've been around these parts for quite some time." As we continued down the desolate road, Hank abruptly took a sharp turn onto an unmarked dirt path. My heart pounded in my chest, and I questioned him about the detour. "This is just a shortcut," he mumbled, not meeting my gaze. The path twisted and turned, leading us further into the darkness. My sense of direction was slipping away, and I realized we were heading deeper into the wilderness. Panic bubbled inside me, but I tried to remain calm. "Hey, I think you missed the turn for the town," I pointed out, trying to sound as casual as possible. Hank chuckled nervously. "Oh, don't you worry. The town is just a little further ahead." My instincts screamed at me to escape, but fear paralyzed my body. The eerie silence and the sinking feeling in my gut intensified as we continued down the deserted path. Finally, the truck came to a stop. I looked around, my heart pounding loudly in my ears. We were in the middle of nowhere, surrounded by a dense forest that swallowed us whole. Hank turned to me, his eyes now filled with an unsettling intensity. "You know, son, I can't let you leave." My heart sank, and I knew I had to act fast. I unbuckled my seatbelt, my mind racing for an escape plan. Before Hank could react, I flung open the door and darted into the forest, my breaths ragged and loud. I could hear Hank's heavy footsteps behind me, and my heart threatened to burst out of my chest. The moon provided little light between the dense trees, and I stumbled over roots and branches in the darkness. As I ran, an eerie feeling swept over me, a haunting sensation that I was not alone. Something was watching me, lurking in the shadows, and a primal fear consumed me. In my desperate escape, I came across an old abandoned cabin. Without hesitation, I burst through the rotting door and barricaded it with whatever debris I could find. Inside, the cabin was dimly lit by the moon's rays filtering through the boarded-up windows. Cobwebs hung in the corners, and the musty smell of decay filled the air. I crouched in the corner, my breathing ragged, praying that Hank wouldn't find me. Minutes felt like hours, and the fear of the unknown lingered like a suffocating fog. Then I heard it. A faint whisper, barely audible, but chilling to the core. Come out, wherever you are." My heart stopped as I realized the voice was not Hank's. It was something far more sinister, something otherworldly. Dread washed over me as I clamped my hands over my mouth, desperately trying to silence my breathing. The voice grew louder, closer. "You can't hide forever." I huddled in the corner, paralyzed by terror, as the voice circled the cabin like a vengeful spirit. The walls seemed to close in, and the air felt suffocating. Suddenly, a loud bang reverberated through the cabin, and the door shuddered under the force of a blow. Hank was trying to break in. With every ounce of strength left in me, I scrambled to my feet and made a desperate dash for the back of the cabin. I spotted a boarded-up window and without hesitation smashed it open with a nearby plank, ignoring the shards of glass that sliced my skin. I squeezed through the opening and stumbled out into the night. I could hear Hank's enraged shouts behind me, but I didn't look back. Adrenaline fueled my escape as I ran blindly through the dark forest. The ominous feeling of being watched never left me, but I couldn't stop. I had to survive. Eventually, I found my way back to the main road. Exhausted and traumatized, I flagged down the first passing car and begged for a ride to the nearest town. The driver must have sensed my distress, as they agreed without hesitation. As we drove away from that nightmarish place, I couldn't help but wonder what horrors lurked in the darkness of that desolate road, and what had saved me from the clutches of Hank. To this day, I can't forget the haunting whispers that chased me through the night, a reminder that evil can take many forms, and that some roads are better left untraveled. The memory of that night will forever be etched in my soul, a cautionary tale to never trust a stranger on a desolate road. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel for more stories. Your support means the world to me, and it helps me create more great content for you. Until next time.